Tarzan did not hear the hunters coming toward him through the rainforest of the African afternoon. Panned, the thunder hid any noise they might have made. Also, Usha the wind was flowing in the wrong direction for him to smell their man-sweat odor. He was still unaware of them as he sprang up from the ground and grabbed a liana growing on the side of a colossal tree. The first spear thrown at him nicked the inside of his left ankle. Its steel head rammed into the tree trunk with a loud, thunking sound. The second spear slammed into the liana. Though the parasitical plant was thick and tough, it was severed by the keen-edged blade. By then, the ape-man had climbed above the cut end of the liana. He had speeded up his ascent a fraction of a second after the first spear had thudded into the thick bark. His fingers gripping the sides of the great vine, his body bent and leaning out almost horizontally, his soles against the trunk, he swarmed upwards. Manu the monkey could not have climbed much faster. Just as the severed part of the vine struck the ground, Tarzan reached a projecting part of the trunk, a massive tumor on the side of the forest giant. Kondo the ant had been biting him while he was on the liana, and they continued their attack. 1 foot on the tumor, his hands gripping the rough parts of the bark, he got around the tree to its opposite side. Though he left behind the ants on the tree itself, he couldn't yet brush off those still on his limbs and body. To use even one hand to get rid of the savagely biting Kondo was to lose his precarious hold. As it was, his fingers were starting to slip from the crevices. But by him there was another liana growing on the tree, so Tarzan did release one hand. Even as he dropped, his free hand closed around the liana. Then the other gripped the rough-surfaced vine. After that, he easily pulled his 200-pound body up the liana to a point above and to one side of a large branch. With all the ease of many years of experience, he swung his body over the branch and then dropped onto it. One glance downward over the side of the branch showed him that the spear-casters could not see him. They were trying to conceal themselves behind a bush. Only by a very unlikely accident would they see him through the mass of foliage growing from the tree. He silently got rid of the insects. Kondo were tiny, but their poisonous bites were painful. To almost anyone else, they would have been agonizing. But he had been bitten so often before that he had built up a partial immunity to the poison. So the bites, so agonizing to other humans, were to him a minor annoyance. Once the ants had been brushed off, Tarzan took a few seconds to check his immediate surroundings. Close by grew a great mass of giant black and scarlet striped orchids. Their rotting meat odor overpowered any other smells. The booming of the thunder racing toward him drowned out all other noises. Only his eyes could be used to check for any enemies up here. And the only ones he had to avoid this far up would be Sheeta the leopard and Hista the snake. He saw nothing menacing. Then he inspected the tiny nick made by, he assumed, a spearhead. The blood had quit flowing. Later, if he got the chance, he would rub some of the rainforest soil on the wound. Years before, when he was a child living with the Mangani, the great apes, his Mangani foster mother, Kala, had taught him about its power to cleanse infections. The scientists of civilization didn't yet know about it. Now he took a longer look downward. He could see that the missiles that had been thrown at him were spears. The trackers must have come across the remnants of his recent meal, the well-gnawed bones and the brown and pale white dappled hide of a tiny member of the family of Wapi the antelope. From there, Tarzan had walked for several miles before deciding to take to the trees. The Ndesi must have followed his footprints in the soft, muddy soil, and they had caught up with him just as he had started to climb. He could see that the 2 black men had left the bush behind which they had been trying to hide. Both were preparing to wrench the spears from their deep embedment in the tree trunk, but just now they were looking upward. He knew now the exact spot he had been on the tree when the hunters had thrown their spears. Their sharp metal heads would have hit his legs if they had struck their targets. Those targets, the bullseyes, were supposed to be his legs.